Hey Marina, how's it
Hey
going?
Natalie, how are you doing?
So great because I feel like we're reminiscing in today's video, talking all about why, in general, you should start an online business. So if you're considering, embarking on this journey of entrepreneurship, whether that's starting a blog, maybe it's a side hustle, maybe it's just a full-fledged online retail store, you might be wondering, why should I start a business? Am I suited for entrepreneurship? Is this the right choice for me? And we've all had those questions. So Marina, I want to ask you, why did you start an online business?
I absolutely adore this question. And this actually takes me back to when I was working at a 9 to 5 job and I had a coach on the side who was just helping me figure things out as I was planning the next step in my career. And one of the questions that coach asked me was, where do you see yourself in maybe 10, 15, 20 years? Do you see yourself as the CEO of a multinational company, or do you see yourself as your own online business owner or your own business owner? Does it even have to be online? And I just sat back and reflected on that question. I was like, I do not see myself as a CEO. I do not see myself as a high level director in anyone else's company. I see myself running my own company. And then the coach was like, what are you doing right now? What are you doing today in order to make that a reality? Because I was at a 9 to 5 job. If I had continued on that journey, I would have gone up the ranks and not actually followed my dream of running my own business in a few years. So that was when I was like, oh, what can I do to do that, to make that a reality? And that's when I quit my 9 to 5 job, actually started working with my dad, because although I still had a boss, it was just like a way to make that change from full 9 to 5 job to actually helping my dad run his own business, to then when I had the more stability, the financial stability to stop doing that, to start my own online business that could support myself. And one of the also the triggers that made me leave my 9 to 5 job was that I valued freedom. Like I wanted the freedom to be able to travel, to be able to work my own hours. And that was more important than the paycheck that I was receiving month to month. And
Okay.
now I need to ask you the exact same question. Why did you start your own business?
Yeah, so I think slightly, I didn't have somebody necessarily, ask me those questions. I've always been the person who had a side business. So whether we're talking high school, university, while I'm, getting my master's while working part time, I still had a side hustle. And some of you might know I used to be a photographer. So when I left the 9 to 5 life, I thought that I would just do that full time, right? Like, oh, I love taking pictures, this is a thing for me. But for me, the choice really came down to what happened was I went to school for a really long time. I got the real job. About 2 years later, I was really unhappy in my real job. So I quit that job for a, do better for humanity type job with a nonprofit type charity. And I was fired a couple of days before my 3 month probation was up without cause. And at that moment, I kind of had this like realization that, wow, I'm disposable to
Mm-hmm.
people. At any time, they can let me go, they can fire me. I'm not in control of my future, even though, like, so I think it comes back to this idea of like, what does stability mean to you? So to me, like, I don't have trust in working for someone. So in that moment, I was like, okay, I need to take control because I think I would be safer in my own hands than in someone else's. And, a lot of that goes back to being unfulfilled in a real job that I worked so hard to become, educated and like all of this just to end up doing all this bitch work I didn't want to do. Right. So to me, I was always unhappy. I always knew that I wanted to be my own boss because I had that history of side hustling, and it was just like the right choice. And thankfully, I was in a situation though, even though like I had a lot of debt because I was fired out of nowhere, right? Thankfully, I live in a country that has, employment insurance that you pay into the system and they're going to pay you a paycheck for 11 months. And during that time, I was able to figure out what I wanted to do. So Marina went to work for her dad, where I kind of like was able to take back all the money I paid back into the system to help me give me time to figure out what it is I wanted to do. So I think if you want to kind of like quit your 9 to 5 or do whatever, you kind of need to shift into a position where you're better able to build something. And whether that's just, an hour at night, saying no to going out on weekends and building something, we got to make that choice.
I love that. And I also think that running a business, it also comes down to your personality, like what you are, like how you are, and the things you like doing. I remember when I was working at one of my first jobs, I was a headhunter. And although I was there for just 6 months, and when I was initially hired, they literally just hired me to go on LinkedIn and search for possible candidates for positions. I remember when I was there, I was just like eager to learn and I just wanted to do more and more and more. And when I actually left after those 6 months, not only was I just doing the research of those candidates, I was actually interviewing them by phone, interviewing them person to person in a bunch of different languages, writing up reports, going to meetings with clients, and literally just embracing the whole thing that it meant to be a headhunter.
Mm-hmm.
And that's when my boss was also like, I think we made the wrong choice in hiring you, in the sense that you're not the type of person who would just be here and do as you're told. You just want to do more and more and more. And this is kind of the personality that you need to run your own business, because there's no one there telling you what you need to do or what the next step is. And you just need to go out and figure things out on your own in order for you to be able to support yourself and also grow that business that you're creating.
So personality wise, we're saying that if you're not sure it's right for you, some of the characteristics are that you're a go-getter, you love to learn, right? Because I think that signing up for entrepreneurship is both an exploration of self, like it is in and of itself personal growth and personal development. You cannot do this and succeed without unpacking all your baggage, all your all your insecurities, all your self-doubt, all the fear. You can't go through this without unpacking and freeing yourself from all of that, right? So you kind of have to be willing to look yourself in the eye and figure out why something's not working, right? And I would say also to be learning, like we've taught ourselves how to build websites, how to grow traffic, what the heck social media is, how to use it. SEO, we know what that is. YouTube, like it's a commitment to learning and growth. And if that scares you, I'm not saying don't do it, but
So true. And you also need to be kind of a risk taker, because when you're starting out, you won't have that paycheck that you'll know will be in your bank account at the end of every single month. There are still, to this day, there are months that I earn more, there are months that I earn less, there are months that I earn even less, and then months that are just out of my expectations because I earned way more. So you need to be up for the flexibility, not only in income, but also in things that may change. So a social media platform that you may be using may go away. How will you reinvent yourself after that? Or there may be a glitch in the system and you lose, I don't know, all of the work that you did. What will you do to counteract all of those things? So you need to be a risk taker and also
problem solver.
That's true. And let go of the stability, because what if that paycheck is not there every single month? What will you do and how will you react?
And I would say it's actually, a false sense of confidence to think that having a job and getting a paycheck is stable, because at any time that can go away. But I don't want to shadow your worldview. So you can ignore that I said that. But yeah, I think it's totally true. You have to be a problem solver, and there are no guarantees in this. Like my best month is like the end of the year. And then right now I'm in the middle of the worst time for traffic. And you kind of have to like have your nerves and like not freak out. Not freak out when it's doom and gloom. No, this is just the way it is. Things are going to bounce back as soon as August rolls around. Like these are things that I tell myself to, stay in it. And I think another thing is like in the terms of learning, you have to know how to create new sources of revenue. Because like, for example, with the pandemic, I think we've talked about this. Online course sales have dropped drastically. And it's not like we're doing anything different. We're bringing in new people. We're still doing all the things, but people just don't have the money as freely as they used to. So, what are you going to do in that situation? You've got to find a way to try something new. So, the willingness to learn and try and shift and pivot and be flexible. And I would say, like, if you're not naturally that way, I'm not saying you can't be an entrepreneur, but it's just one more thing you have to learn how to do.
I love that. And one of the last things that I'm going to say, in order to become an entrepreneur, you need to know how to go out and do stuff without having someone that's there telling you what to do. You need to, combining a bit of things that Natalie said, you be a go-getter and open to learning, because there's no one there you're being like, oh, you need to do this, this, and this, and this today. You need to organize your own schedule, know all of the things that need/should get done, and different ways that you can go ahead and about your business in order for it to grow on basically on your own, because you need to plan out your days, plan out your schedule, plan out your business all by yourself.
But I would say that you could also get a coach, take a course. Like, you have to kind of know when is the right time to invest in a course. When is this person trustworthy, like deserving of your money, your hard earned cash, and they're going to help you grow? And when is it a time that you need to like bootstrap the heck out of this and duct tape your way to your first 10K, 100K, whatever? So it's like knowing, and that is going to come with experience. You're going to mess up. You're going to make mistakes. You're going to fail. It's going to be harder than you ever thought possible. But you kind of have to have this positive mindset and know that failure is not the end. Failure is just an opportunity to try better, to learn, to get up and keep going. I think one of the, the most important characteristics is resilience and grit. You just gotta keep going. You're gonna get knocked on your ass. There's literally were days when I first started where I was crying on this floor because my website was broken and I had no one to help me fix it. So, but you gotta just get up and dust it off and put on some lipstick and everything will be okay.
Absolutely. And also find yourself a support group. I feel like I would not be where I am today if it weren't for Natalie. And exactly, you just need to find those people who are going to be with you on this journey, because you are not alone. Even though you may be running this business on your own, you are not alone. And we're here for you. I'm here for you, Natalie. So this is all that we have. And we hope you enjoyed this episode, that you figured out if you would like to be an entrepreneur, if you would like to run your online business, or maybe if this is not for you. If it's not for you, this is not a problem. There are different people and there's so many opportunities out in this world.
Right? We don't all have to be entrepreneurs. Like, it wouldn't work if we were, right? So
true.
If you love this discussion, be sure to just subscribe to my channel, because we are here every single week. Check out Marina's channel too.
Down over here. And also that make sure you check out this other video that we have up here for even more content like this.
And we'll see you next week.
Bye.